One thing that we have sold more than almost anything else in our shop is the KJ Bridal Guide template. And what this template does, it allows photographers to educate their clients on how to have a photography-friendly wedding day. So what I'm gonna do today, I'm gonna take some of our students and their bridal guide designs, and I'm gonna tell them some tips and tricks on how they can take what they have, make some slight changes and tweaks in order to make it even more impactful. Hey there, I'm Katelyn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a place where we love to empower photographers to build profitable and purposeful businesses while also letting you into the behind the scenes of our everyday life. Back when I started my business, I realized that there are a lot of things I needed to tell brides about planning their wedding day to make sure that their wedding day was photography friendly. Before I started educating my brides about how to plan their day, I'd show up on wedding days and it was a hot mess, right? The timeline was a mess. There was no light in the bridal suite. Everything was a struggle, and no one was making decisions with photography in mind. And so I realized, after I started educating these brides, they weren't trying to make their wedding day not photography friendly. They just didn't have any education. They didn't know any better. So what I did, I took all the information that I was repeatedly trying to tell all my brides and educate them. I took all that information and I compiled it into a bridal magazine. So what exactly is this? Well, it's a bridal magazine that is 90 pages. It's huge, but it's full of so much great education, and it works so well. I don't do emails anymore about brides asking questions about planning their wedding day. I rarely do emails about timelines. So when photographers actually buy the KJ Bridal Guide template, what they're getting is an InDesign file that they can open up, and they get access to every part of this. So it's not just the layout, it's not just the information, it's everything. So you open up your template, you have all of my words, you have all the design, you just have to insert your images, and if you want to change my wording a little bit, you totally can. Then you export it and you get it printed and shipped to your house, and you're ready to start educating your brides in a powerful way that also makes you look really legit. What we found is that while bridal guides for most photographers look absolutely amazing, I have noticed some little things here and there that they could tweak to make them even more impactful. A lot of this comes down to image selection and pairing and how to make it look more elevated, more editorial, more high-end, simply by tweaking which images go where. So I'm going to take some of our students' designs and I'm going to give them some feedback on how they can make their amazing bridal guide that's doing wonders for their business, how they can make it even more impactful. All right, so looking at my bridal guide, just want to give you a quick little overview. I need to update this picture because we have a third little person in our life. But this is just an overview. I'm just viewing this in a standard PDF viewer. But if I was to send this online for my clients, they would open it and the page would flip on the screen like it was an online magazine. But I'm going to go through some other people's bridal guides that aren't mine. Obviously, I designed this. And so when I filled it in, I am filling it in with a certain look in mind. But this is an overview of the guide, all the topics that are listed. The first look has a lot of different spreads, testimonials. There's a daddy-daughter first look spread. And that's because that's the hardest thing to convince grooms to do. Unplugged ceremony, destination weddings, family formal sample list, romantic portraits, trusting me with locations, rainy days, bridal party, high impact planning, reception details, what to pay attention to, reception tips, controlled exit so I don't have to stay at the reception the entire time, an album introduction, and then how to process the online gallery, and then why you need to order prints professionally so they don't turn out looking like this, and then an ending. So it's massive. I mean, if you're thinking to yourself, this is just a tiny little guide, no, it's a huge guide. It's an amazing resource. Let's talk a little bit about some tips though. First tip is that if you are picking a cover image for your bridal guide, even if it's not my guide, this applies to anyone creating a magazine for your clients or a pricing guide for your clients, anything like that. Something I suggest is that you smooth the skin of not just the bride, but also of the groom. So obviously this groom has a few little moles and freckles on his face. And the bride, I don't think I did intense smoothing on her skin, but he had a few little imperfections, and it was noticeable against her skin. So I smoothed his skin a little bit. You can kind of tell right about here. I also brightened his face a little bit. And the reason I did that is because this is the cover. You know, this is what people pay attention to. And a lot of times, whether you're holding it in your hands in person or you see it really large online, you can see those imperfections a little bit more. Okay, so tip number 2 is to make your bridal guide your own. So yes, I include standard font that you use in any Adobe Creative Suite. They're Typekit fonts that if you have Adobe Creative Suite, you automatically have access to them. So you don't have to change the fonts, but I love seeing photographers take their own brand fonts and insert it into the guide so it looks well branded for their specific brand. So here you can see she did her own fonts here, whereas the cover of mine, this is my brand font. And you can also see here, this is not the same font as the KJ font here. So this person made this look like their own brand as well. So that's second tip, is to use your own fonts, but to use them in a way to where the proportions stay about the same. If you're using my template, you want the proportions to stay about the same. You don't want to make the wedding guide super blown up because I strategically made this text a certain size so it's not overwhelming on the page. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the first thing people see as soon as they open the magazine, whether you're using my template or creating your own or bought someone else's. They need to see you first thing. As soon as they open that cover, they need to see your face. And so here's a few tips for filling in that image. So I love this image here. Why? Because it fills up the whole spread. It's a tight shot. I think sometimes it's very easy to use images that are not high impact, and we get stuck in our own heads, right? I strategically picked this image of our family because Evie's pulling my hair. I'm kind of laughing, cheesing a little bit, double chin. Graham looks kind of funny, but this is real life for us. This is truly us. That is Michael's real smile. That's Evie's real smile. So it's not a perfect image, but it is truly our family. And I love it because it's zoomed in pretty tight. It's up close. You can see our faces. And I think that's really, really important. I also love this welcome image on a welcome page. I think this is great because that's a real laugh for her. The dogs are not perfect, but they are so adorable, and that's obviously a big part of their life and their family. So that's important. And when I look at images, sometimes there are a few examples like this. This is pulled back, and it's such a cute family shot for a welcome page. But because they're not looking at the camera, I can't see her face. And I really want to engage with her because she is who I am working with. She's who I invested in. So that's just a little tip. Let's keep the welcome image, you guys looking at the camera, and let's make it pretty close up so there's really minimal negative space because that is it captures people. All right, so now I want to talk a little bit about the Meet the Crew page. So in our template, again, if you're making your own and you have a team or you have other people who work with you, this is important. I love this page because I want everyone to know, Morgan's going to be helping with album ordering, and my sister helps with emails, and Michael and I are going to be there on the wedding day. So meet the crew, that's important for us, but not everyone has a crew to introduce, your couples to. So I wanted to show you, if you don't have a crew, what it could look like for you. So there's Emily, there's Thomas, and then their dog's got a section. Now, honestly, before we had a crew, Boca, our dog, had a section of his own. Okay, so there's different ways to do this. And again, like with different versions of the bridal guide. So older versions had a different approach to this page, and the newer versions have a different approach. But I really love this. This is another option. So for Laura and Matthew, cute family photo, adorable. Another picture of them. You get to know them here. But in the most updated version of the KJ Bridal Guide template, I give this design platform. You can just slide it over on the design if you don't want to have a crew section. And you can explain your favorite part of the wedding day. So this is Laura's favorite part of the wedding day: bridal details, the vows, and then bride and groom portraits. It just lets them in initially on what you love about your job, which I think is a really personal way to introduce them into the guide. All right, so let's talk a little bit about pairing detail images. So in this part of our KJ Bridal Guide template, you can actually, if you've ever wondered what is included in this template, you can see it here. 89, 90 pages. It's massive. But this is such a fun page to design, but it can be very frustrating for people if you don't have any design background and you feel like, everything I'm doing doesn't look good together. Well, let's talk about why this looks good. This looks good because there are hints of that petal pink color hitting like every other image. All right, so we have a little bit of it in the floor, a little bit of it here. We have a black and white break. Then we have some good petal pink, little petal pink, and then no petal pink. So we're taking the same color palette and we're interspersing it with a few kind of like rest images. So rest images are what I call images that give your eyes a break. This is a rest image. It kind of gives your eyes a break and allows you to reset as your eyes going across the screen. Let's look at another example. All right, so we're going to scroll down here. Oh, I love this. Great, great. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You have the color of the lips, color of the florals. We have a rest image. This I would even say is a rest image. Beautiful detail shot with neutrals. And then we pick that color back up again. Now, there is something I would change here, even though it's gorgeous and I love it. I would zoom this image in a little bit and get rid of this dark streak here, because if this was all just stone and the stone here was butting up against the floral here, I think that would make a massive, massive difference. And I think it would look so clean, but still maintain the job that it's supposed to do. This image is supposed to give your eyes a visual break before you go into more detail here. And I actually think it would do its job even better if this dark space was gone. So zoom this image in just a little bit so we get rid of that dark space, and it's just a rest image of that beautiful neutral stone. So that's just a quick little tip, but gosh, I love this. The colors, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the creative in me, but I see this and I just think, gosh, I want that in my office. I don't even know who shot this, but I want this in my office. Okay, so let's move on to another tip. Let's scroll down. All right, so let's scroll down a second. Here we go. Look, gosh, these images are just beautiful. So this concept is to give your clients ideas of what they should wear to their engagement session. I cannot tell you how impactful this is. Now, this person paired theirs together, which I really, really love. The original template, though, let me show you, looks like this. So it's broken up into two sections. There's a romantic style recipe where I teach people how to create outfits that give you that romantic soft look. And then there's a bold and bright recipe, but that's for my style. So you can change it however you want, but not everybody has images of people in outfits that they love and would want to duplicate enough to fill up a whole spread of examples. So how do you handle that? All right, this is a great example of what I encourage photographers to do. If you don't have enough examples of outfits that you want to use, just do some color blocking here and tie it in with some neutral colors. And you can do that for both bold and romantic, or you can just have a romantic style recipe and you can delete the other page. But this is a way to still use this page and this design, but not have all the images you need to fill up the whole entire thing. This image is gorgeous. I know why she picked this image, because it's beautiful. The colors, the skin tone, the light, the couple, it's literally perfection. But it's a hard image to use because it is zoomed out, which means that the bokeh behind them is not super, super blurry enough to be able to read this very well. This kind of looks like hidden text to me. So, but if you go a few pages down in her book, look at that. Now that is a perfect image to put text over. Gosh, look at that image. Gorgeous. So when you are selecting images, that's something to pay attention to. Pay attention to how intense the bokeh is in the background. We need it to be pretty creamy, very, very minimal detail. Another term for this would be high and low frequency. So this is low frequency and this would be high frequency. Even this image would be perfect, but you see the difference? This is too busy. That background would be perfect to put text over. This could actually have white text over it, and that would be gorgeous. All right, so let me just talk about this spread. This spread is super impactful. We actually had a bride show up once on her wedding day, and she's like, I need that window picture. And I'm like, sorry, you didn't email me about a window picture. What are you talking about? And she was literally just freaking out over, I gotta have that window picture from your guide. And she was talking about this spread. Now, it's highly impactful because you're showing in a beautiful like display, full page, full spread, you're showing your clients why you need a window in the getting ready area, because look at the portraits you could create if they would just give you a window. However, filling this page with an image, it's very tricky. So this is the more dark and moody example, but it definitely shows the impact of the window effect. I think it would be more impactful if we didn't have this dark black line. I know you can't get rid of that. You could, but it wouldn't look quite as natural. So in the future, if you do a shot like this, you could literally scoot yourself more to the left and have everything blurry in the foreground, but still get that beautiful window light on the client. But we're getting in the right direction here. I think this is a great example. We can clearly read this, all right? This post is not quite as dark as the example from the last image I just showed you, but you see beautiful light on her, so this is a good example. This example I struggle with because there's a lot going on. We've got some chromatic aberration happening here, and I mean, I love this barn. I'd love to shoot at this barn, but I think we're missing the effect of why we need light in the bridal prep area. Right. So looking at this, I don't see the bride in window light thinking, oh, I want that. I'm going to fight for light in the bridal suite, or I'm going to be fine with my photographer when she moves me or he moves me to a naturally lit area because I want this type of portrait. We're not getting that effect here because we don't see a bride in this example. So again, it's just a learning curve. Overall, find your best work. Even if you have a veil shot that was really epic and the veil was blowing, but it's really dark and doesn't look like your most up-to-date style, don't use it. Use your best work, your strongest work, okay? So if I had a veil shot from 2013 that was epic and it was blowing straight up in the wind and it was really cool, but the quality of the image was suffering, it was just a cool veil movement shot, I wouldn't use it. You need to use your best work because you want this to make a high impact and you want people to feel like, man, I'm so glad we hired them. So thrilled that you watched all this. I know that there was a lot of tips and it was a little bit lengthy, but this stuff matters and it makes a huge impact in the way that people perceive and experience your bridal magazine. So I hope that was helpful, especially if you already own a KJ Bridal Guide. You now have tips and tricks to apply to your own design. If you do not own a KJ Bridal Guide and you are ready to transform the way you educate your clients and how professional you look in that process, we have a special discount code just for you. So you can see the code on the screen below. Just use KJ YouTube 15 when you purchase your bridal guide and you get 15% off. But if you also just want to learn more about the bridal guide, what's included, what topics are covered, you can also click the link below and learn more. So I'm thrilled that you tuned in. Thank you so much for being a part of this episode, and be sure to subscribe so you can see other episodes that are coming in the future.